ASU, I have a question for you. Do you love liberty? I have to tell you, I'm a little bit upset that the Devils beat up on my Utes last weekend, because I graduated from the University of Utah, but the saving grace is I did my undergraduate work here at ASU, and it's great to be back. I have to tell you, there's a common tactic that was utilized by some of our allies in World War II is taking place today. What often happened is our allies would take literally rubber dummies, fill them up with dynamite, and drop them over the German military. And there was a very good reason why they did this. It was to divert attention. It was to get them to utilize their ammunition and their resources so that the Germans could not fight the real battle where it needed to be fought. It was a very effective tactic that was utilized during World War II. And I see the same thing going on here today, at least philosophically and ideologically. We as a country are focusing on too many of the wrong issues. And while we focus on all of these wrong issues, or that one issue that you get excited about, the foundation of this country is literally being shot out from underneath us. So I have a question for you. I want someone to come up here, and I want you to tell us what you think it means to live free. Is anybody willing to come up here? Right here. Come on up. What is your name?
Vaughn Packard.
Vaughn. And Vaughn, what are you doing here?
I came to bring this little guy.
Love it.
So that he can grow up in a country that is free, and that he doesn't have to worry about any persecutions, whether it's sexual orientation when he grows up. He can do whatever business ventures he wants to do without issues. He can do whatever he wants, and that's why I'm here. That's why I support Gary Johnson.
Right. Very good. Thank you. Hold on. Whoa. You're not through. Tell us what it... We always hear the soundbite that we're a free country. What does it mean to be free?
What does it mean to be free? It really means that that I don't have to worry about any government or any organization that is oppressing me or that has any undue pressure on me. I can do what I want so long as that it doesn't interfere with the rights of others. I want to be able to do what I want to do in whatever it is.
Very good. Thank you, Vaughn. Really, when we talk about freedom, right? Freedom is the ability to do those things that we want so long as we're not infringing on the rights of other people. But we've forgotten this. You know, I also am an adjunct professor of constitutional law out at the college here locally, and one of the questions that I'll often ask my students on the first day of class is this: what is more important, public safety or individual liberty? You would be shocked that the very students that walk this campus who come into my classroom would tell you, the overwhelming majority will tell you that public safety is more important than individual liberty. See, this idea of what it means to be free has literally been turned on its head. And we've got a job to do. We've got to do more than just revere things like freedom. We've got to do things more than just revere things like the Constitution, and we've got to start reading and implementing these ideas. Now, I have a question for you. What is the purpose of government? If we claim that that freedom is the ability to do anything we want so long as we're not infringing on the rights of other people, what is the purpose of government then?
Protect our rights.
Wait, who said this?
Protect our rights.
Come here. What is your name?
My name is Morpheus.
Morpheus. Where are you from?
From around here.
Okay, very good. Tell us what the purpose of government is.
The purpose of government is to protect the rights of the individual.
Okay, very good. How does government do this?
By staying out of the way and protecting our borders and have constitutional money.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for just a moment. Right, we get involved in these debates, whether it's in your classrooms, whether it's out on the streets, whether it's at political engagements. But you know what? The answers have already been outlined for us. The Declaration of Independence tells us very clearly what the purpose of government is. To secure our rights, governments are instituted among men. See, what we need are more individuals that are willing to run for office, and that we are willing to elect into office that recognize that government is not a charity. We need more people like Davy Crockett, who was a congressman in the early 1800s, who on the House floor said, "I will not stand behind and I will not put my hand to these pieces of legislation because there is no authority granted in the Constitution for me to do so." Or like President Cleveland, Dr. Vito, who was a Democrat, who consistently vetoed pieces of legislation that came to him, again outlining that government is not a charitable organization, and I will not put my hand to this piece of legislation because, again, there is no authority. See, we've forgotten that there is actually the answer right before us, if we would just look at it. See, if you talk to any lawyer, which I am a lawyer, but I will tell you that most lawyers don't understand this very simple principle. See, when you ask them about original intent of the Constitution and how best to protect freedom, at some point they will go back to the text of the Constitution. But that is not true original intent. True original intent is found in the Declaration of Independence. It tells us exactly why these individuals did what they did. And it tells us things like, what is the philosophy of government? But go ask one of your professors here on campus what the philosophy of government is. Talk to your colleagues here on campus and ask them what the philosophy of government is. Most people can't tell you why we even established ourselves, why the idea of America even exists. The reason why we exist and the principles upon which we were founded is this. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, among those being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the philosophy of government. And yet we have 535 individuals in Washington, D.C., Congress. We've had presidents now and in the past that don't recognize what the philosophy of government is. How did they get there? No, that's not how they got there. They didn't get there because of the Constitution. They got there because we have a people, a population that largely is ignorant of the Constitution. So is it any wonder that you have individuals in Washington, D.C., on the U.S. Supreme Court, all the way on down? Is it any wonder that you have 535 individuals in Congress? Is it any wonder that you have individuals in the executive branch? And I don't care if we're talking about Democrat or Republican. Is it any wonder that these individuals simply ignore the Constitution? It's because you have a people that are largely ignorant of the document itself. Congress is nothing more than a direct reflection of the people that they govern. And if you have a people that don't understand the Constitution, you're going to elect people that don't understand the Constitution, that believe in these silly ideas that public safety is more important than liberty. If you want public safety, there's a great place. You can go to the Middle East. The Middle East, many of these countries will provide public safety for you, but liberty is almost non-existent. See, these founding fathers weren't just they're not just a bunch of old, dead white men. They were individuals that had vision. They were individuals that recognized that men are born to be free. And they put together a document, namely a Declaration of Independence, that outlined a philosophy of government and outlined liberties, and then told us this: the only reason why government is put in place is to protect those very liberties that every person is born with. And then they go on in the very next sentence to tell us about government. They said that government derives its power from the consent of the governed. That's popular sovereignty. See, we've forgotten about this and we've turned government and its idea on its head. We've absolutely done this. And so here we have this Constitution that has largely been forgotten. We have individuals that apply the Constitution when it's convenient for them, but then ignore it when their interests are on the line. But what is this Constitution? What is the purpose of the Constitution? It's very simple. The purpose of the Constitution is to limit the authority of government in order to avoid tyranny. It's that simple. See, you have an individual, and this man that I'm about to tell you about is the rule. He is not the exception. His name is Jim Clyburn out of South Carolina. He's the third highest ranking Democrat in the country. He was asked this question on national TV. Where in the Constitution do you have the authority to legislate something like health care? And I'm not here to debate health care. That's a debate for another day, but I want you to take note as to his answer. He says, where in the Constitution does it say that I can't? See, this is a man who is the rule and not the exception, who doesn't understand that the Constitution is one of positive powers. It tells Congress what they may do and also reminds them as to what they may not do as they go about doing the things that they have permission to do. See, he turned the idea of the Constitution and limited government on its head. See, if I had to summarize the Constitution in a nutshell, it would be this. The Constitution is nothing more than a complex maze of booby traps designed to stop tyranny in its tracks. But why haven't we stopped government from running roughshod over the liberties of the people? Because we have not allowed the Constitution to engage as it was designed to be engaged. We as the people must re-engage. We must stop revering the Constitution and start reading it. So let me leave you with this last thought. The Constitution is not the problem. The Constitution is emphatically the answer. And it's about time that we start applying this document and start holding individuals' feet to the fire. In addition, we have an obligation. You have a choice to make as you leave here today. And that is, what kind of government do you choose? Do you want a limited government that stays largely out of your life? Or do you want a government that intrudes in almost every component of your life? You cannot have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. We, the people, are the bosses here. We must do something about this. The one thing you can't do is nothing. When you walk away from here, the one thing you cannot do is nothing. You remember the movie The Patriot, where the individual, the father, he serves in the French-Indian War. He serves honorably. Then he has children, and the Revolutionary War breaks out. And at this time, the father does not want to serve, but his son does. Sadly, his son is captured by the British. And he's mourning with his sister-in-law, and his sister-in-law says this: "You have nothing to be ashamed of. You've done nothing wrong." And his response is very simple: "I've done nothing, and for that I am ashamed." You cannot walk away from here and do nothing. If you believe in the idea of liberty and you believe that the power lies within you, the authority to govern, you must do something, and we must seek out those candidates that will protect our liberty, my neighbor's liberty, each other's liberty, and respect the fact that although I may not like your choices, you are born to be free. Thank you so much for having me.